Okay, so we all think we know Marilyn Monroe, right? The platinum blonde, the movie star, the ultimate Hollywood icon. But here's the thing. The image we all recognize wasn't born. It was built, piece by piece. And in this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers of how that legendary image was made and what it was hiding.
This quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the core of the whole thing. Marilyn Monroe's public persona was this masterpiece of contradiction. It was intentionally engineered to be both innocent and scandalous, all at the same time. And, this incredible tension, it's what made her a megastar. But as we're about to see, she was the one who ultimately paid the price for it.
So how in the world do you go about building an icon like that? Well, believe it or not, the foundation was laid with just one photo shoot, years before most of the world even had a clue who she was. Let's rewind to 1949. A young, struggling actress poses nude for a photographer, a guy named Tom Kelley. Then, fast forward 3 years to 1952. She's just starting to get famous, and boom, those same photos pop up, completely anonymously, on this massively popular pinup calendar called Miss Golden Dreams. The fuse was officially lit.
And what did she get for this photo shoot? The one that would basically launch her entire sex symbol image and make a fortune for other people? $50. That's it. $50. A choice she made because she needed the money, and it ended up defining her for the rest of her life.
And this wasn't just some forgotten gig. Oh no. Biographers and scholars all point back to this moment as ground zero. This is when the person, Norma Jean, really began to be packaged into the product, Marilyn Monroe. Her image was now officially on the market. So, once that raw image was out there, the Hollywood machine saw its massive potential. 20th Century Fox swooped in, took the reins, and started to professionally sculpt the Marilyn Monroe brand for a global audience. You can see the studio's playbook right here. Look at Don't Bother to Knock. She had next to no creative say in her role. Then comes her first top-billed movie, Niagara. The studio's goal was crystal clear. Time magazine at the time said the film was made to position her, and I quote, only as a sex symbol.
And the way they built this image in Niagara was just so deliberate. Every detail mattered. The song Kiss is used as the signal for a murder plot. Her character is this incredibly seductive force, but in the end, she's punished for her own sexuality. This move absolutely solidified her as the sex symbol, but it also did something else, something really interesting. It actually made women in the audience feel for her. They sympathized with her.
But that whole idea of being punished on screen for her sexuality, well, it wasn't just a plot device. It points to a much darker, much more real story that you find in pretty much every account of her life. It's a story of exploitation and the very real human cost of becoming a commodity.
And this right here, this was the central battle of her entire career. On one side, you had Marilyn, who was a serious artist. She moved all the way to New York to study acting. She desperately wanted creative freedom. But on the other side, you had the studio system, a system that sources describe as an abusive environment that was basically designed to keep her trapped in that one image.
And when you dig into the biographical sources, you see the same themes over and over again. She's consistently portrayed as a victim, not just of a studio, but of an entire industry and culture. These sources document claims of childhood abuse, which some analysts then link to her struggles later in life. The general consensus from these accounts is that she was, for all intents and purposes, owned by the system.
Some feminist analysis pushes this idea even further. It sees her as this powerful symbol of a much bigger struggle, this blonde goddess who was also a victim. She became a kind of mirror, one that reflected how all women at the time were constrained by the patriarchal rules of that era.
So all of this happened more than half a century ago. Why do we still care so much? Why does her story still feel so immediate? Well, let's take a look at her legacy and what it tells us about our own world today.
You know that constant draining fight she had to control her own image? We actually have a legal name for that now, the right of publicity. Her battle to control her own name, her own picture, her own likeness. It was a trailblazing fight that celebrities are still in the middle of today. She was right there on the front lines.
When you boil it all down, her story is so much more than just the life of a famous person. It's a perfect case study. It rips the curtain back on the entire machine that manufactured, packaged, and sold a very particular version of female sexuality to the whole world.
And that really brings us back to today. Her image is still an incredibly valuable commodity, but her life story reveals this massive, complicated struggle between the product she became and the person she was. And it leaves us with a question that feels more relevant now than ever. When an icon's image is a product for sale, who really gets to tell their story?